Hey everybody, welcome back to PathMonk Presents. PathMonk is the AI for website conversions. With increasing online competition, over 98% of website visitors don't convert. The ability to successfully show your value proposition and support visitors in their buying journey separates you from the competition online. PathMonk qualifies and converts leads on your website by figuring out where they are in the buying journey and influencing them in key decision moments with relevant micro experiences like case studies, intro videos, and much more. Stay relevant to your visitors and increase conversions by 50% by adding PathMonk to your website in seconds, letting the artificial intelligence do all the work and increase conversion by 50% while you keep doing marketing as usual. Check us out on pathmonk.com. Hey everybody, welcome back to PathMonk Presents. We're really looking forward to today's episode. Today we've got Ryan Truax over at LeadPages. Ryan, how you doing today?
Kevin, I'm doing spectacular. I'm happy to talk to another marketer about marketing and get really into the weeds about it all. So I'm ready for this.
Me too. Let's rock and roll. Okay, well, to dive straight into things, I know that I checked out LeadPages a little bit ahead of time. I know that both of us are kind of in that conversion space, making sure that everyone on the web is converting as much as possible. But I'm hoping you can kind of give us a little bit of a lay of the land. Why don't you tell us about LeadPages and what it's all about?
Yeah, absolutely. Can I underscore an exclamation point conversion? Because you and I have the same mindset in that regard. It's all about conversions at the end of the day. But primarily, we're a lead optimization solution. We're really about catering to all the needs of the modern marketer, those of which are experiencing changes like we always are in marketing. And like I said earlier, kind of jokingly, we are hyper focused on conversion and really getting more out of your marketing efforts through optimization, through all the advancements in split testing and analytics and traffic insights. We're able to provide yourself a real leg up on the competition, if you will.
That's awesome. Yes, you're speaking my language 100%.
There
So,
we go.
I know you kind of gave us a little bit of a warm intro into it, but why don't you
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about the problems that you solve for your audience?
Yeah, so a lot of marketers sometimes are reliant on others to help them build an experience, build a page, if you will. And a lot of marketers are strapped both by resources and time constraints. So what we offer is a best-in-class landing page solution, and it's done very intuitively, and it's backed by some really incredible and innovative advancements that will probably be available by the time this podcast comes out. So again, I hinted at the ability to have visibility to your unknown traffic, further data in the way of your audience personas. Are your campaigns working? Is the right traffic coming to your page? And then all while, of course, focusing on collecting leads in the most efficient, cost-effective manner possible.
That's true. I want to ask a quick follow-up on this. You
Please.
talk about kind of the efficiency, it sounds like, and I know that time is one of the things that people are always worried about because like building these landing pages and testing them out over a course of period of time, but specifically how there's kind of different audiences, right? There's kind of people who are just getting into marketing or maybe some smaller websites versus some larger marketing teams with larger websites. How do we make it kind of as efficient as possible for kind of all different sizes of teams?
Yeah, I think regardless of resources, we're a very iterative being, that being a marketer, right? So no matter how big the team is, how well resourced you are, I think just giving the tools to test and experiment really, really quickly, right? Like, again, it's all about incrementality. Where do we find those small edges? It's around running these small micro experiments and doing it consistently and having it as part of your muscle that you kind of flex each and every week. So solutions like we share in common, again, allow for any role within the marketing team to perform a small experiment or test, launch a campaign, assess, and then scale accordingly. So I think we're both onto something here.
Yeah, and the ability to kind of get up and running quickly, test it out, gather the data, right? Because otherwise you're kind of stuck in the weeds about figuring out, is it working, is it not? If you can kind of figure that out next, okay, what's my next step? I like this.
You're right, Kevin. So many of us in the past, I think marketers were a little guilty of these huge, robust campaigns, ones of which took untold amounts of resources and time.
Yeah.
We'd build these things, we'd send them out to market, and sometimes the results would be a little underwhelming. Well, what it would have looked like to test a small version of that very early on with that MVP mindset, see if there was truly a fit, and if there was, scale, and if not, learn from the lesson and move on. So I think it's much to do with that iterative work from this day forward and frankly into the past as well.
Really well said. Really well said. Moving on, I want to focus a little bit more on the audience specifically. From a
Yeah.
marketing standpoint, how are they finding you nowadays? Like, what are some of the top acquisition channels for you guys?
Yeah, well, I'm going to bore you with the traditionals that everybody is familiar with one little asterisk on something I'm very excited about. So for us, like many, I mean, Google owns the vast majority of the search share. So I'd be lying to you if there wasn't a massive benefit from both our paid campaigns and certainly our organic efforts as well. We're a SaaS product that's been around for now 12 years at this point in time, brand equity kind of supersedes some of our existing motions. So there's a lot to be said for that. But Google is the largest part of the pie chart. That's for certain. I would suggest also, I'm pretty jazzed about LinkedIn and its advanced targeting. So we're putting more efforts there into the lead generation side of the business. So you'll see more top of funnel investments from us there. Meta, Insta, of course, perform their function as well. And we're also taking a very lead first approach to channels like YouTube, taking the second largest search engine and doubling down on its ability to kind of get us to where we want to go. But what I'm most excited about is we're all familiar with LLMs, GPT, Bard, Perplexity. We're actually able to see in our CRM as of recent that the traffic source that these people are originating from are those things, GPT and Perplexity. I'm actually getting leads and some trials from a source of which I think many of us would like to get more of because it's the gift that keeps giving.
Definitely. I think being able to leverage these AI, let's say, resources has been huge. We've been seeing some similar stuff, but yeah, get in early, test these out. They're a really great, like kind of potential goldmine for a lot of people, especially people in the SaaS space where, yeah, organic is one thing, but if you can start having the AIs like recommending you, like if you say, oh, what are some of the best conversion things? And, GPTs and all of those are saying, check out LeadPages, like that's an awesome resource.
Oh, this is the Johnny Manziel moment right now, where it's all about that
Exactly.
money.
Money, money, money.
But I will say too, I mean, if you happen to have an in at Perplexity's ads, I want into their beta ad group. I just can't get my way in there, but I'm curious to see what that'll look like in the near future.
Yeah, let's have a second conversation about that.
Let's do it.
Now, moving on to the next question, we're all about conversions here. We're all about making sure that clients
Yep.
are getting the best bang for the buck. But when we talk
Yeah.
about conversions on your page, like what role does your website play in terms of like client acquisition? Do you feel like there's any major strengths or weaknesses?
Yeah, I mean, here, let's start with the good, right? The strengths are this. It's a 24/7, 365 a day a year salesperson. So we take it very seriously. It's often the first touch point that you might have with our brand. If you did a direct search, you might get to that first. So those first few folds, primarily because we know there's a steep drop off on the traffic once you get lower into the page. We really take those hero sections, second fold, third folds really, really seriously. The on-page experience, again, is so critically important. So looking at our conversion points, making sure that the ask is appropriate based on the intent that we have in those early impressions. Where I'm probably weak and some other marketers might feel this pain as well, is just launching split tests more frequently, right? I would like to be able to do so more on a monthly basis, heck, even maybe a weekly basis at time based upon the initiatives we have in hand. Sometimes we have a struggle doing so, but my team is getting better, more equipped as they're back in technology to launch more frequent split tests and multivariate as a whole, quite honestly.
I did check out your website ahead of time and I love the design. It looks like, to expect nothing less, right? Like you guys have a really great looking website. I'd be interested to see like how you guys manage the pages that were designed originally versus which ones you're kind of A/B testing frequently. I would love to dive into those numbers with you on a different conversation. In
Yeah,
terms,
and I would say, oh, just quickly, I was going to say too, what you should check out in a little bit of time is a rebrand, Kevin, that we will be split testing against and seeing new messaging, new alignment with the ICP, a new look and feel, of course, as well. So that's where I'm very eager to start testing all this great work that's been done that we believe fervently in. Doesn't matter in the way of conversion.
keeping us interested, I like it.
Yes.
Okay, in terms of next, I know that personalization plays a really big role, not just for PathMonk, but also for LeadPages. In terms of conversions nowadays, I think being able to provide as much of a personalized journey for each individual website visitor is really important. How do you guys
Mhm.
kind of approach personalization?
Well, I can tell you one thing from a product standpoint, we're going to make some seismic movement on that this year yet. So that's what I'm excited about from selfishly our own standard
Of
here.
course.
Personalization is something we want to lean into more, Kevin. I would like to say to you today that we're doing it at scale, but it's really the unlock a lot of marketers are lacking because we can do so in some of the smaller experiences and smaller cohorts, of course, but can you do it across 150,000 unique visits in a given month? I can't say that we do today, but it's an initiative that we're putting more emphasis on because if we have those known attributes about a visitor, talk about the biggest part of optimizing conversion, having a personal one-to-one conversation as opposed to this broad sweeping statement that is meant to solve the pain for all or add the benefit for all, but doesn't really get down to some of the things that individual visitor really needs from us. So can we highlight the specific pain or the outcome or the benefit and do so on a one-to-one basis at scale? This is often the difference between closing or losing a deal. So it's critically important for our business and frankly anyone out there.
Really well said. In terms of the conversation, I want to make sure that we're spending a little bit more time talking about Ryan as the marketing professional. We've talked a
Okay.
whole bunch about LeadPages. We've talked
Yeah,
about how you guys kind of approach conversions. I want to know a little bit more about Ryan. And so maybe you
absolutely.
can tell me in terms of, we're always looking to grow, we're always looking to learn and get better and improve. But there's a lot of overwhelming content out there, right? There's a lot of different places you can go. Like, where do you go to
Yeah.
kind of consume the content where you're kind of staying up to date?
Yeah, I have a shameless plug, but I won't do so to you quite yet here. But I
Okay.
will say my two sources that I really like to go to. I mean, I have newsletters flooding into my inbox. We all do, no shock there. I'm a huge HubSpot fan for a variety of reasons. Preeminent SaaS product, great everything around it for the most part. I am obsessed with marketing against the grain right now. Some of their content is so deep and so objectively true outside of all this subjective conversation happens. I just found myself on the edge of my seat listening to a lot of work that they do. Now, not every episode's, built exactly for me, but some of recent have just really drove some messages home that I'm trying to further layer into our work, our initiatives, and our daily tasks. So if you haven't already, Marketing Against the Grain, check it out. It is good. I'm a video first cat too. I will say in a video
Me
first
too.
world,
Me too.
big fan of Wistia. Wistia has always had a soft spot in my heart. I've spent some time with those guys out there. Went to a few of their conferences I had in the past. I love Talking Too Loud with I think it's Chris that hosts it. Fantastic because it's a little lighter, right? It's insightful, it's informative, but it's done in a way of which the content isn't so heavy, isn't so burdensome that I can be on the treadmill, I can be out walking if I choose, and enjoy the conversation, but leave with something of great value and something I often am talking to my team members about the next day.
That's awesome. And speaking of content, I know that you run a couple of podcasts yourself. Do you want to tell us a little bit about those?
Yeah, what's better than one podcast? Two, I'm told. um, but it's funny you mentioned where am I getting my latest and greatest news and what am I tapped into? We actually try to solve for this again, where our inboxes are inundated with newsletters and opportunities to consume information. Often it's too much and time is precious. We actually created a AI first podcast where two bots are digesting the latest and greatest news from the day, and it's called the Glitch Report. It's hosted by a couple of robots, quite honestly. They're called Kai and Luna, and they actually take all of these kind of our inputs, which are a lot of the latest and greatest news, and they condense that down into about a 5 to 6 minute podcast that is easily consumable. So we're doing that Monday through Friday, each day at about 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. You're going to see a lot more about this, but we're trying to solve for the pain of marketers, right? You need to know what's happening today so you can better position yourself for tomorrow's success. So Glitch Report, check it out. It's an interesting foray into AI podcasting, but I, like you, prefer the human as well. So we've launched a podcast. It's just now in its second season called On the Record. It's really a podcast. It's all about hard-hitting conversations around emerging trends, both in the technological sense, marketing strategy as well. And it's really also the partnership between things that most people love. Marketers love marketing and people love music. We've actually found a way to blend entertainment with informative discussions with a lot of hard-hitting opinions. My CEO, Michael Saka, brings a lot of experience on just business as a whole, marketing domain, although he wouldn't tell you, he's very good at it and understands it very well. But he's a musician by trade. Similarly, I am as well, also obviously a pretty nerdy marketer. But we just bring on some guests and really get into what's happening right now. What are the big thoughts that are around us? What do we do for solving for those? And we bring some great guests with us to kind of take us down that story. So it's a video first podcast. You'll find it on YouTube. You'll find it everywhere else. A real fun way of looking at marketing content in a digestible fashion.
I'll have to add both to my weekly listening list. Well, thank you for those.
You're my favorite, Kevin.
I want to finish off the conversation with a couple more playful, thought-provoking questions,
Yeah.
just to kind of ease our way into the, let's say, the declining action of the conversation. But one nice and easy. What's the last book that you read? Like, what are you staying up to date in terms of literature?
Yeah, I like to. So as this conversation goes on, people hear and see I'm so passionate about marketing, but one cannot simply live amongst that 24/7. I'm wildly entertained and intrigued by Stoicism and all that it represents as I get a little bit older and try to apply more of it to my own being, if you will. I didn't know that I'd go to Stoicism through this book, but I couldn't help but love it. Greenlight's Matthew McConaughey's biography is a really fun way of getting into that topic, how he's applied it to his own life, his work at times as well, and what it looked like to go from a person that did not have that to one who's found it and has found peace and serenity on the other side of it. I love that. It's inspired me to go to Ryan Holiday's series, who is obviously a thought leader in Stoicism as well. So Greenlights, if you haven't checked it out, I know McConaughey gets this weird Brandon vibe sometimes, but fantastic read. It really is.
I'll have to add McConaughey to the authors that I read. I mean, he's definitely up there for the actors I
I
like to
know.
watch, but the authors I like to read. Okay, and the last question, one
Yeah.
that we like to throw out to our marketers. If there were no boundaries in technology, what would be one thing that you would want to have fixed for your role as a marketer today?
Yeah, this is a biggie. And I think that we're fast approaching what I might suggest here. I, like most marketers, time is precious, money is precious. I'm sick of the guesswork, like many are. We're getting to a world in which we can process so much information so quickly. What if there was something that was like a predictive marketing intelligence engine? So it's automatically adjusting ad spend and the content strategy, and it's all based upon real-time conversion patterns with this ultimate goal of like maximizing ROI. It would be able to identify what to say, when to say it, what channels align with the creative and convert best for a specific audience segment, and perhaps all proactively before launching a campaign. Imagine having all those insights and that confidence.
Oh yeah, taking previous data and applying it beforehand,
Uh,
before you launch. Oh man.
yeah, now that dream sounds great, but I say this, Kevin, sheepishly. I might have just talked myself out of a job by saying so,
Yeah,
but
who needs
uh,
Ryan or Kevin if you have this predictive model, right?
I would love to be the assistant to the model that performs this function because I think it would be groundbreaking, revolutionary. Insert your favorite verbiage.
I agree. I agree. Well, today's conversation is hitting the end. Ryan, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate having you on the show. Everyone should go check out Ryan's team over at LeadPages. Ryan, thank you so much for joining. Looking forward to having our future chats in the future, talking about more conversions in marketing.
I love that, Kevin. Shout out to you, to Pathmonk, and all the great work you're doing as well. A lot to be proud of there, and I hope our paths cross again in the very near future.
Thank you very much.